Listen to this.
And forced himself on it. From this moment on, there was no turning back for Schmidt. He had learned that forcing himself on dead bodies brought him great pleasure. Now he knew he was about to escalate his crimes. The first two murders had been unplanned and spontaneous, but from now on, he would hunt women. It didn't matter her age or what she looked like. For him, they were faceless. They just had to be female. Although the authorities hadn't yet linked the first two murders, Schmidt knew they would soon be onto him, but he didn't care. Now when he left his home, he was prepared to kill. He left his home wearing a camouflage jacket, carrying binoculars, rope, and a knife. Underneath his jacket, he would be wearing women's underwear and a leather apron to avoid getting blood on him. Now he was prepared, and his bloodlust was growing. Schmidt's first murder came in 1989, his second in May 1990, but it was his third attempt in July that year that things became truly premeditated. On the 9th of July 1990, Schmidt was at the rubbish dump, pleasuring himself as he often did when he
Pleasuring himself as he often did at the rubbish dump. Let's get back to the story.
like. For him, they were faceless. They just had to be female. Although the authorities hadn't yet linked the first two murders, Schmidt knew they would soon be onto him, but he didn't care. Now when he left his home, he was prepared to kill. He left his home wearing a camouflage jacket, carrying binoculars, rope, and a knife. Underneath his jacket, he would be wearing women's underwear and a leather apron to avoid getting blood on him. Now he was prepared, and his bloodlust was growing. Schmidt's first murder came in 1989, his second in May 1990, but it was his third attempt in July that year that things became truly premeditated. On the 9th of July 1990, Schmidt was at the rubbish dump, pleasuring himself as he often did, when he noticed a woman walking by.
As he often
She
did.
was 58 years old. This time, he was prepared. Armed with a so-called murder kit, he approached her without hesitation. Then, he stabbed her in the stomach with the knife. She collapsed, screaming in agony, but she was still alive. Schmidt dragged her deeper into the forest, ready to finish what he had started and fulfill his twisted fantasy. But fate intervened. Another couple nearby heard her desperate screams and rushed to help. Before they arrived, Schmidt bolted, vanishing into the woods. The woman would survive her injuries and make a full recovery, though she couldn't give police a clear description of her attacker. Once again, there was no official connection made to Schmidt's earlier murders. Shaken by how close he came to being caught, he decided to lay low. For the next 8 months, the so-called Pink Giant kept his impulses simmering under the surface, waiting patiently for the next time he could strike. On the evening of March 13th, 1990.
Whoa. I wanted to talk about psychologists. I've been listening to a lot of stuff about Carl Jung. And Carl Jung broke with Freud in the early 1900s. Around the 1912 to 1914 period of time, maybe 1913 and 14, he started writing his Red Book. But where he broke was he thought that Sigmund Freud was taking the sexuality too seriously. That he said that a lot of times it was symbolic, and that he didn't think that Freud was going to go with that. Now, Carl Jung's wife told him, "Oh, you might be, you might be being a little harsh on that. He'll probably accept your ideas." He didn't. He threw a fit. He thought everything was about sex, and it's not. Uh, Carl Jung had the idea of the collective unconscious, and Freud just believed it was a personal, just your shit thing going on there. There was no realm of archetypes, no subconscious with a collective unconscious tapped into it, none of that. But you see, Carl Jung was getting these very disturbing dreams before World War One started, and he never thought there was going to be a world war. Remember, he lived in Switzerland, which has remained neutral unto this day. He saw the landscape filling with blood, all the plains of Europe, and he saw the mountains of Switzerland going high above it, and all the blood being down there. And he never thought there was going to be a war. But once he realized it and he went through his own process to integrate his own shadow, he had to deal with this imagery, because realizing that your consciousness and other consciousnesses are tied together, that you're not an island, is part of the shadow working process, because he began to have vivid visions where he was seeing stuff, and to guide his patients he knew that he had to go through the process, and by going through the process he submitted himself to them by experiencing them and not trying to bottle them up and then tell the students to do some other shit. And that's admirable. There's a lot of psychos in this world, like you just heard. That guy's some Buffalo Bill ass shit. That's a Buffalo Bill ass motherfucker. I just got a call from a lady friend, and she's having problems with her husband. I think she said they burnt the trailer down. Oh my God, poor girl. She's like, "Can I come camp in your yard for like a couple days?" I'm like, "Girl, you can come camp in my room." You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what I'm saying? She may go with her family. I don't know why the guy is doing to her. He doesn't like her. He hates her. And he's trying to make a fool of her in public and certain shit. And I've been through that before. There was somebody that I really liked that I had my last child with. And I loved her so much. I loved her so much. But when we got in public together, she was so mean and rude to me, but not until after we got together. And I didn't know what the fuck was wrong with her, why she was doing that. Um, I think it was just her way. I mean, because clearly she was still in love with me, but that behavior caused me to freak out on her. I didn't get into any fights with her, but I left her. Like, we were doing a job where we were both having to do it in the car, and the things that she did just seemed real disrespectful, and I wasn't going to take it. I wasn't going to have somebody try to talk shit to me like I'm a fool while with her. I wasn't going to do that. So I left. I just got out the car and took off. I'm like, if that's how you're going to be to me, then I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be here doing that. I'm not going to let you talk shit to me and be rude like that. Just not going to do it. So eventually she left, but I quit having the relationship with her sexually because we obviously had an issue and we never got to fix it. She got, so she suddenly felt like everything was all fucked up. And I don't think that she ever got that she was being so rude. rude to me and hateful. I mean, I think that's just the way that she was when she liked somebody. Like how kids when they're flirting with each other will be mean and poke. It was like a very underdeveloped emotional. I think it's the vulnerability of emotions makes you that way, and I didn't know it. I didn't realize that. It took a long time before, and although I still try to communicate with her, I haven't been able to talk to her ever again. I'd like to. Maybe I should call her.